So did you watch the last episodes of The Boys?
I did. I did watch the last
Okay.
episodes of The Boys. Do we want to talk about The Boys?
We can talk about The Boys. I mean, if you want to get into that, or you still want to
Yeah.
sort of...
Yeah. I'm keen to talk about whatever. We can talk about The Boys if you want. Do you want to talk about The Boys?
Yeah.
Something to talk about? We don't have to use it. We can use it. We don't have to use it. We can put it in. Let's talk about The Boys. Are we recording?
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so, sorry, Troy. Yeah, I didn't warn you.
Welcome back, everybody, to the whatever this is, right? What is this? We don't know.
Filmmakers, Foragers, whatever.
This is Film Foragers. I'm Troy.
I'm running home.
And today we're going to be talking about The Boys Season 3. The Boys Season 3. I've just finished The Boys Season 3. I'm a bit late on the old Boys. Yes, I've watched Season 1, Season 2 and Season 3 pretty much all back to back in the space of about 2 weeks or so. 2-3 weeks. And just watched the last 2 episodes last night. And my goodness, we're going into full spoilers now because holy shit, it's good, Ryan.
Yeah.
I was amazed. What was the story of Season 3? Well, let's recap what the story of Season 3 was.
So Season 3 starts off, I guess...
Giant penis
going boom.
Yeah.
I think they decided they were not going to hold back this season at all when it comes to the violence and nudity. Compared to the
sexual
seasons.
stuff this season.
Yeah, a lot of sexual stuff. You sort of wonder what caused the push. I mean, little bit of trivia. You probably heard this somewhere, but
trivia time, everybody.
Trivia time. The end of Season 2, we have Homelander jerking it in the middle of the sky.
We do have Homelander jerking in the middle of the sky. Yes, or on top of a thingy. Yes.
Apparently, they were shot for the first season, and they weren't allowed to put it in for some reason.
Oh.
And so they put it at the end of Season 2. But it seems like with Season 3, it was like whoever said don't include that in Season 1 is just long gone because they just go nuts.
Yeah, they were just like, yes, let's go.
Every penis you can put in there, you put it in the damn show.
We put in, yeah, man. I love the inclusion of the temporary V, the V24 for V for 24 hours. I thought that was going to be... I was scared. About that because I thought that it was going to turn into a whole thing of the boys getting powers and then they would be the same. And I was like, no, don't go there because that's what makes them different. You know, like, I think they need those powers at times because you can't fight a soup as just a normal bloke. They'll punch right through you.
Yeah, it was sort of... I think the writers in the early season were sort of finding it hard to deal with the fact that at any time the superhero can basically destroy this person. And like they kept having to use blackmail in Season 2, where it's like, no, you can't hurt me because then I'll tell XYZ your dirty secrets.
Yes.
And that obviously worked. But it's you can't keep doing it over and over again. It's sort of like at some point, you know, you've got to have a different way of fighting them.
Absolutely. And that's what we're finding particularly with Homelander, because it seems to be a thing where the more he pushes, the more his fans seem to like it, or at least either accept what he's doing or go, yes, you're doing the right thing, and because he wants people to like him.
Yeah.
That's what ultimately he wants, is like he can't live without the love of the people.
He needs validation.
He needs validation, and I'm very curious to know how far they'll push what he can do in front of the public going into Season 4. Yeah. One shot. We're gonna zig. We're gonna go into all different sorts of things. But one thing I did like about this season, and particularly the last episode of Homelander's dad, quote unquote, being Soldier Boy, and then Homelander's son Ryan, there was a lovely composition shot where you had Soldier Boy, Homelander, and Ryan, and they were all kind of in the same shot, but at no point did the camera ever put all three of them in the same shot all together fully. And what I liked about that, we're going deep now, but like the fact that they're not actually a fully functional family, and so they don't all end up being in the same shot. There's actually like there's a rift there, and it's not the full thing, and like it's like almost like the camera's trying to make them into a full family, but like they're just so broken that they're the camera can't even make them into a full family, and then it all goes to shit pretty much after that.
I can't say I actually even noticed that, but that's a really good
I just saw that at the time and was like, what's going on with this? Because I thought they might do a full shot of all three of them being like, you know, the three generations or whatever. But the camera couldn't quite get there. And I was like, oh, that's a sneaky little. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it felt that way to me anyway. Yeah. What did you think of Soldier Boy?
Soldier Boy, like I say, really interesting character because he keeps doing something where he gets you to root for him, and then he betrays you. Like as an audience member, he does the wrong thing. And then he does the same thing over and over again, where it's like you really don't know how you feel about him by the end. You feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
But you don't really support half the stuff he does. And then other times, he kind of is the only one who's saying the most sort of straightforward thing, like, no, let's kill Homelander, you know.
Yeah.
Like, big spoiler there is that he finds out he's Homelander's dad.
Yeah.
And he still says, nope, I agreed I was going to kill you, and you know what, you don't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
And you're a threat, so I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do, and I'm going to take you out.
And those daddy issues there as well, like his dad thought, Soldier Boy's dad thought he was a cheat because that's how, you know, because he got his powers, and he did all these things that like weren't like propaganda stuff for the war pretty much, and all this other stuff, and I found it interesting how I lost my train of thought. I found it interesting how I lost my train of thought. No, it's gone.
It's gone? Okay.
It's gone. It was there.
I think I sort of picked up what you were putting down.
You picked up what I was putting down. We'll pick it up right on a carry on because I think
I get what you're saying in that in terms of like he's very similar to Homelander, and you can see that it's like almost a genetic thing or environmental thing of like not having the dad around.
Yeah.
But in Soldier Boy's case, he wanted his father's validation.
Yeah.
And he never got that.
Yeah.
But he didn't care so much about other people.
Yeah.
Like, he just sort of does whatever the hell he wants.
He does whatever the hell he wants.
Like, he's pretty nihilistic about it. Whereas with Homelander, he is, like, obsessed with anyone's, like, image of him. If he thinks they're a fan, it's like he wants people to love him.
He does.
He's just, like, complete narcissist. Whereas Soldier Boy is sort of, like, much lower grade of, like, you know, not a good person, but certainly not, like, just totally, completely vain.
Completely vain, yeah. Right, guess what? I found my train.
You found the train.
I found the train.
Back on the tracks.
And the train that I was about to lay down on the track was the fact that I found it interesting that Soldier Boy was, even though he's such an asshole, he is loyal.
Yeah.
He says to Butcher, "Yeah, I agree. I've got the plan. We have made a deal, and I'm going to stick to that deal." Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting because I thought at one point, oh, he's such a dick. Like he's gonna float away, or he's gonna abandon the plan completely and just do whatever the heck he wants. No, he sticks to it. He sticks to Butcher, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, we're taking you out. The interesting thing I also found with the last episode was the inclusion of Ryan. Because Ryan flipped everything over. Because Butcher was then flipped going, well, that wasn't part of the deal. We ain't hurting the boy. I made a promise. And to be fair to Butcher as well, his promises, if they're up here, they're a priority to him. If he's made a promise kind of down here on the scale, it can kind of zig or zag. He can do whatever he wants. If he's made like a top promise, he's like, this is a top promise. But like if he's made just kind of a casual promise, it will either go, you'll either do it or you won't.
I said I'd do that, but you know, something happened and
what do you think about the Deep this season?
Yeah, very much. Again, just continue with that. Like someone who's you feel bad for him because he's just like you say, so pathetic.
He is so pathetic. And he's so pathetic, but it's funny and it's sad and it's also disturbing at times. It's a real the tonal shifts in the show are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's also just great acting, because it'd be so easy to play that character as someone who's just completely hateful and you feel nothing but, hate and disgust for that person.
Yeah.
But he almost has like a lost puppy kind of vibe. Where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing in the world, but, I just know that I'm trying to have sex with an octopus.
or eating an octopus, or both.
Octopus, yeah.
Oh my god, both scenes, highly disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, and again, just talking about tonal shifts, is again, you can go from a scene of a man inhaling an octopus and absolutely devouring it, and it being totally, again, tone. It's like a little onion, of tone, because you just strip away a few layers, and it goes from funny to sad to just what the heck is going on. And then that scene will transition into a lovely sort of sweet scene where like Huey will be talking to Starlight about something, and it's just a really lovely, nice scene. And it's like, how can those two things exist in the same show? That's what I'm staggered
it's very impressive.
by.
It's like a Taika Waititi type thing, where it's like you can have something devastatingly sad and heartbreaking, and then just quickly swiftly just go to something relatively light and easy. Like it's just sort of graceful, really. Like it's impressive.
It is very. It's like a ballet. It just flows from one tone to another. Very, very amazing. What do you think of? Speaking of flitting and floating, what did you think of the flittering and floating birds that Black Noir sees? His little cartoon.
Yeah, that was quite a fun
little cartoon friends.
Fun addition. It definitely reminded me of like South Park. I don't know if you've seen some of the Christmas critters type stuff, where it's like the same sort of corny animal thing.
Yes.
Like Chuck E. Cheese type sort of deal, where it's just so ridiculously corny, but it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's also very sentimental and sad.
Yeah, it was quite tragic.
Yeah.
I felt bad for Noir. I feel like his send-off was a little bit anticlimactic. Like they were building up to like his backstory, which was great to see.
Yeah,
and revealing all the stuff about him. We get to learn why he is the way he is to some extent.
Yes.
And then instead of him having a final fight, he sort of just gets taken out, and it's quite disappointing. It's realistic.
It's realistic
within the setting, within context, but it's definitely not something the fans necessarily want to see for him. They want to see him at least give up a good, put up a good show.
Yeah. Yeah, and also like he'd done so many amazing things in the last couple of seasons, like just his amazing acrobatics and knife skills and way he could fight, and he was sort of built up. Yeah, I agree, as like a threat and as like a formidable.
Like the one dude, you sort of dark horse. Right?
Absolutely,
you don't know what he's.
You don't know what he's capable of, like because he doesn't give anything away, and he doesn't speak, and you don't see his face, and he's like a mystery man, and then but you get a little bit of backstory at the same time. And then he goes out, and it's like, oh, bugger. I also, speaking of going out and going, oh, bugger, but on the opposite side, on more of like a satisfaction until it turned into, oh, he came back, was A-Train. Because I thought he was down for the count, he was out.
Yeah, I thought they gave him a sort of a redemptive arc.
Yeah, I was like, bing, bang, boom, it made sense. I was like, okay, if he goes out like this, I am pretty okay with it. I thought that the arc was good. I thought that it worked all right. And then they brought him back. I still think they brought him back in a way that was really interesting. The fact that he's got a heart of a person that he hated and tried to kill, and then ultimately did kill. I'm curious to know where that goes in season 4.
Yeah, I think they didn't want to give up on the character. And it's funny, I feel like the one thing that I sort of niggled at me with maybe season 2 was I felt like Huey kind of forgot about A-Train to some extent. Like, because that was the inciting incident in the very first episode of season 1.
Yeah.
Where it's like A-Train literally
ran
destroys
through his girlfriend.
She just blows up in front of him.
Yeah.
And that was a trauma that started the whole series for Huey. And then it's sort of like he seems not super invested in A-Train until we get to the Hero Gasm episode, where you just can't help but sort of tear into A-Train when they just sort of stumble across each other. And he's just like, he finally gets to have a little bit of an outburst.
He does.
That again,
He does.
It's sort of been dropped from the story almost, and then it finally gets brought back up.
I agree with that. I also thought I did love that moment at the Herogasm bit where Huey looks at him and goes, "Oh, I do have powers, and I can absolutely take you."
Yeah,
but I love the fact that then A-Train's in a position where his arc, where he is genuinely going, look, man, I had shit now happen to me for, like, not for the first time, but like it hit home. Like his brother, like, got paralyzed through acts that ultimately were partly his fault.
Yeah,
and he's looking at Huey genuinely going, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was really, really good. But I agree. In season 2, it's almost like they sort of just left that to the side and then went, "Oh, that is a thing. Let's bring it back here."
Yeah, there's no way that Huey's over this because that's so traumatic. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Here's a little fun question for you. If you were, tapping on the keyboard and you were writing this show, how would you kill Mr. Homelander?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, from what I understand, this might be a spoiler for people who read the comics, but I understand that Butcher actually ends up killing Homelander in the comic series,
right?
That the TV show is based on, and I think he just kills him with a crowbar or something. So I don't know what the specifics are.
That'd be rather boring on
screen. You wouldn't think that would work in the TV show.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the crowbar would just bounce off. I mean, I don't know. It's definitely something where you think it would have to be like some sort of team effort, in terms of different characters all facing off against him together.
Yeah.
And I guess that's something I would have liked to have seen this season. They did a great job with Maeve of getting her to finally give Homelander sort of a piece of her mind.
Yeah,
and she also got sort of a send off, not from the show, but at least as a superhero.
Yeah,
she lost her powers in a sacrifice that was very satisfying for the audience.
I thought it was
and
too.
I feel like if they had just chucked Noir into that fight, so that it would have been a more even fight.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
With her and Noir against Homelander or against Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
That could have been a bit more interesting. And then had Noir, die during the fight. That would have made sense. As opposed to just like having him before the fight, and then he gets killed and he's just taken out of the equation.
I agree. Do you think that Noir would have fought? Who do you think he would have fought? Soldier Boy.
I think he would have gone for. It seems like he would have gone for Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
But I mean, in that situation, I feel like if they're both trying to kill him, he'll just fight to defend himself.
Yeah.
And it just would have been a nice complicating sort of factor where it's like you don't really know what he's trying to. Maybe he just tries to get away. But yeah, I just wish they could have done for him what they did for Maeve, because I think they did such a great job with her.
Yeah.
Where it's like she is fighting what she believes in. She's finally stopped running away or stopped trying to pretend like she doesn't care.
Yeah.
And she's trying to kill Homelander because she knows that he is the number one threat. And then she has to give that up to save, mostly just to save Ryan, it seems like. And just to sort of do the right thing.
I also found it interesting, that fight, that like she didn't want to mess with Ryan in terms of like, I'm not going to like take out this kid because I'm only going for Homelander. Like you can genuinely see that she was like, when Ryan came in, she was like, "Oh, this changes the dynamic." But at the same time, I love the fact that she went, "No, I'm only going for Homelander. I'm going to do everything in my power." And God knows, she went nuts. I also like the fact, speaking of the killing Homelander, it seems, I don't know how it works, but like she stabbed that piece of metal into his ear.
Yeah, that did.
And it bleed, and he had a moment where I thought for a second there that he was going to have like head trauma or something along those lines, where like he was going to get memory loss, or like, because you always see that sort of stereotype in when it comes to like very powerful heroes, where something hits their head, hits their brain, memory loss, trauma, something along those lines. Didn't seem to do anything to Homelander too much, but I thought they might have gone down that path.
Yeah, it was a good fight in that both of them lost something then. Like he bled, and he actually suffered for once.
Bled a couple of times, which I was very interested. I didn't think.
Took a bit of a beating, and she lost her eye, obviously, which was obviously a big sacrifice. That's reasonably satisfying because it's not like her life is ruined, but she didn't just walk away from that, unscathed. So that definitely makes it more satisfying. I do wonder if he's deaf in that ear or something.
Could well be,
That seemed to be what it was implied when it's like you get that ringing noise.
You get that ringing noise. He had the ringing noise all the way throughout the season. That I don't think that was to do, obviously not to do with his ear at that point. That was to do with like his. It's almost like the moment in the show where Butcher hears the kettle. When he goes back, when the guy brings it back, it's that sort of that boiling water moment where at any moment he could just snap and go. Yeah. As I say, I really, really, really love the show, and I can't wait for season 4. Do you have any final thoughts about the show?
Final thoughts. Well, like I said, I always wonder like how this temporary V works in conjunction with normal V. Like if a superhero takes the temporary V, does it up their powers or something? Because you see, in the earlier seasons, A-Train was taking more of the normal V to keep in shape and stuff, and you sort of wonder if that's related. Like it never really gets brought up. So that'd be definitely something to explore later on, maybe.
Yeah.
But no, it was definitely. I think it was an improvement over the previous season.
Yeah.
And it looks like just going to keep progressing and getting better and better.
Yeah. So do you think if you would like to see a moment where you want to see the moment where the people who already have the V take the temporary V and see what happens with their powers?
I guess I just wonder if a character might try something like that and just see what happens, or
also nobody dies from the V. The temporary V. I know it gives. I know because at the end, spoilers, Butcher has a cancer sort of cancer. Anyway, he's dying.
Vague,
He's dying.
Yeah.
And he's got like months to live. Maybe a year tops. But I was like, I would have found it interesting in a sort of dark way, but also would have been interesting to see somebody take the V and then just pop. Or something like they just couldn't handle it, and then just boom, and it's like, wow, okay, that would have been interesting because they always hint to that. There's a little bit of hinting to like you'll either go two ways. You'll either give you great powers, or you'll die.
Yeah,
and it was like, where was the little death bit? I would have made the stakes a bit higher, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that could have been interesting.
We didn't lose anybody this season.
Not really.
Really. There was a couple of Black Noir. He's gone, but like the boys are all still intact, pretty much.
We gained. What was his name? Starlight's ex-boyfriend.
Yes, Supersonic.
Supersonic. That's right.
Yeah.
And then he gets killed.
Which I thought was. I thought that was interesting.
I didn't expect it. Yeah,
I will say through the seasons, and this is why I think it's a great show. Is every episode. I mean, I'm quite. I get tense. I get into shows. I get. I feel everything, and because everybody's got powers and everybody's quick or speed, especially like Homelander. I'm always thinking, at any moment he could just come in and just kill a person. And they've set that up from the beginning, and I think that the show still has that flavour of like that tenseness where like anything can happen at any moment, and I think that's what makes the show really like bingeable and really watchable. On only one aspect that makes it. It's got so many more aspects.
Yeah, it's a really strong aspect.
It's a really strong aspect that keeps you watching because you're just like at any moment you're either going to see something that's really over the top or something really tense or just great characters going out, and it could happen at any time. So yeah, overall, can't wait for season 4. Do not know when that happens, but my God, I'm on the edge of my seat, man. I'm keen as. So thank you all for listening and or watching. Hit the subscribe, give us a like, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.